Hi, this is Bruce Nielsen again. In our last video, we left off, we had downloaded Claude Claude Desktop, and we were looking at Claude Code. Let's actually take a look at skills now. So what I'm going to do is go to your users. So in my case, C users. My user is Mindfire, so I'm going to click on Mindfire, and there's going to be a .claude folder. That's the folder that Claude installs with Claude Desktop. And you can see there's a skills folder underneath it. So in a previous video, I showed you how to make skills on the web. And the skills on the web that you make there are still available for the desktop. But you can actually create local skills for the desktop version. Now, the reason why you might want to do this, if it's just you working, then it probably doesn't matter whether you use local or web. Obviously, one of the main reasons why you would want to go local, though, is so that you can have access to stuff on your desktop that you can run as part of the skills, which obviously you can't do for a web skill. So I wanted to be able to show you how to do this because this is a really great way to actually be able to automate things. So let's go under skills. And for this video, I'm going to show you an easy one, and we'll get into a slightly more complicated one in a future video. But take a look at this commit message skill. So one thing to note here is that a Claude skill is basically just a folder underneath the skills directory, underneath the .claude directory. Okay, so you can use Claude Code to go do this for you if you want. That might be the best way to do it initially as you're trying to get used to the idea of skills. Let me warn you, Claude doesn't fully understand how to make skills. I have had it have problems. It mostly works, but it's done some weird stuff. So it's really helpful to understand what it's supposed to be doing and kind of guide it along the way. So this here, commit-message, is a skill that I wanted. When I'm working in Claude Code and I am making changes to my code, I want to be able to say, you know what, I want you to give me a commit message, and I want it to look over all the diffs for all the files that we've changed and come back with a comprehensive Git message that I can then use as part of the commit. So to be able to do that, I wanted a skill called commit-message. So you just make a folder called commit-message, and that skill now exists. Underneath it, there is a skill.md, MD meaning markdown, of course. That is going to be under every single one of these skills. So when we do a more complicated, we did a writing voice one. That was back on the web. This is now the local version, skill.md. It's always skill.md underneath each folder. Okay, so let's actually click this, and I am going to now show you what it looks like. It's just a markdown file. Now, markdown is just straight text. It has some certain formatting. So like you can see here, when you put like the hashtag there, that means it's a title. If you have Notepad in the latest version, you can actually look at what it looks like formatted. I just gave a warning, it doesn't know how to do it exactly. So it's kind of an approximation. But you can see now that it's got different headers. So you've got the top level headers, what you do, output format, ones underneath that, short description because it's slightly smaller, etc. Okay, so let's go back. I actually think it's easier to read it just as syntax. So you can see that a skill is going to consist of this header portion that gives the name of the skill, and then it's going to give a description of the skill. And so in this case, commit message says, generate a git commit message for staged and unstaged changes. Use when the user wants to commit message or ask what changed. Trigger phrases, commit message, write a commit message. What should I commit? Generate commit message, draft a commit message, git comment, git message, give me a git comment, give me a git message. Okay, what are we doing here? So for a skill, the header is the only part that gets loaded. It's going to, when you ask for a skill, it searches through the names of the skills and it pulls up only the header portion. And then it needs to make a determination of, is this skill relevant to what I'm doing right now? And so you are giving it a description of when to use it. and possible trigger phrases that if it sees a match on those, that it knows, oh, this skill's relevant. And then after that, only after that, it loads the rest of the skill into the context window. Now, this rest of the skill is going to explain what it is that we want to do. So in this case, like for example, it's going to say, I want a short description and a detailed description. So short description, 1 line, add max 72 characters. And then it says no trailing period, capture the primary intent. And then detailed description is going to be a blank line after the short description, then a paragraph or bullet point explaining, and then I tell it what it is I want it to output. So when I'm using Claude Code and I say, give me a get comment, it knows based on this description here, oh, this user wants to use the skill called commit message, and then it reads through the longer description, and then it follows those instructions. What it's going to do is it's going to actually come back with a short description, here's what's in the get commit message, and then a longer one. Now, the reason why I did that, sometimes I use this using, like, say, GitHub Desktop, and you can see there's a short description area here and a longer description here. And so I wanted to be able to paste the short one there, the longer one there. If I'm in Visual Studios, I just kind of run them together. It just depends, right? So this is an example, though, of why I told it to do it in this format, okay? So this is basically all that a skill is it's just a markdown file. It's plain English. You can write them yourself. You can have Claude write it for you. You can do a combination of the two, have Claude take a crack at it and then go through and modify it. And based on the formatting, it knows how to load just the first part, figure out if it needs to use it, and then it knows to read it and then act on it. All right, that's it for this time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.